Welcome back, everybody. This is Brother Mean here. Today we are doing a War Priest build. This is not an epic build by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not min-maxing like crazy. I just wanted to show you some of the features, feats, other ways that we could make a War Priest in this game using, of course, mods. And so you have to have a PC, you have to have access to these mods. This is the Eldritch Arcana mod, as well as Call of the Wild. Call of the Wild is one that adds War Priest as an actual class, a variety of other classes as well. So I wanted to show you again a typical, if you will, War Priest. We will use, of course, bag up tricks as well to force level the character up. So let's actually make a new one. The questions that you would ask yourself, in my opinion, for how to make a War Priest would be, what do you want to focus on? Do you want to be a strength-based caster or character? Do you want to be a dex-based character? Do you want to focus on spells? Do you want to focus on buffing? What kind of race do you want to play? What kind of deity do you want to have? And again, those are all the things you're going to have to make a decision for on your own. Now, of course, we can go heavy into the armor, going with either a human build, and half-orc, asymmetric build. Anything that basically gives you like strength and or con and or wisdom would be something that would benefit you. You could go dex and wisdom, though. You could go actually dex and charisma, as weird as it is to say. If I played a halfling, I could make a dex charisma build work. Why? Because having enough charisma, not a bunch, but enough charisma, allows you to do what's called selective channeling. Allows you to AoE heal your team, presumably, as well as yourself, without healing the bad guys. It would also allow you to AoE do damage to undead without damaging your undead or your teammates that are undead. And again, that may be something of appeal to your character. And again, a dwarf is a traditional cleric type because of the bonus to wisdom, the bonus to con. As someone that's going to be in the front ranks, you'd rather have someone that can take a beating, so having extra con is worthwhile. Having extra wisdom is something worthwhile. The penalty to charisma is the downside. This is the reason that Harem sucks so badly as a good cleric compared to Tristan. Tristan has terrible physical stats, but he has the perfect mental stats. He has the high wisdom that you'd want and a decent enough charisma that he can do that selective channeling. So again, there's a variety of ways to build this character. I can't tell you the quote-unquote best way, but let's just do one off the fly. Let's make an asymmetric build. Clearly this guy needs to be a little more pale. He was kind of real thin, even though he's going to be godly and super strong. We're going to make him where he looks like he's a weenie. Got exactly the perfect haircut. Nice. Looking good, buddy. So what do we want? We want to go War Priest. And something else to point out here before we go into just a generic War Priest is all the different subclasses they have. One of my personal favorites lately has been Sacred Fist. If you ever wanted to play a magus that felt like a cleric, but also felt like a monk without taking a monk dip or cleric spells, because you went like Inquisitor or something crazy, this is your guy. Sacred Fist allows you to do all the cool monk stuff that you want to do as a purist and still get all those kick-ass cleric spells and buffs to make you a badass motherfucker. So this is an amazing upgrade, if I do say so myself. I do love this. And again, this literally allows you to be a cleric monk hybrid. And again, War Priest will feel, especially the generic War Priest, especially when we talk about our weapon buff as well as our armor buff, something very new in my opinion, you will feel like the cleric version of a magus. Right? The magus, whether we're talking about a traditional magus or the Eldritch Scion, you're basically a fighter wizard or a fighter sorcerer, and that's what those kind of feel like. And you may say, well, I see that we have a nice cleric fighter hybrid combo going on here. Where's the druid love? Well, because of this mod of the Call of the Wild, if we go into magus, just to show this to you real quick, they have added other subclasses. Notice we have a blood rager, so again, someone that feels like a barbarian slash sorcerer slash fighter kind of hybrid. The nature bonded magus, on the other hand, is the one you'd want for feeling like a fighter slash wizard slash druid combo. This is really all in one kind of a kit, and it's extremely powerful. Don't kid yourself. This would be an extremely fun build, especially for someone that wanted to go solo. You just need to know what kind of spells to pick, and again, you have access to druid spells, one from each level 1 through 6. And again, that's pretty cool. You have to be very choosy since you're only going to pick one and one only from each of those levels, so you have to kind of plan this stuff out a little bit. But know that it is in the game, which again, because of these mods, I am a big fan of the modder that went out of their way to do stuff like this. But let's actually make our War Priest, okay? So again, we've decided on a race. Before we go into that, let's actually pick our favorite class. Might as well make it a War Priest because we're going to go purist, and I'm probably going to go skill ranks all the way because extra skill ranks are needed, because Call of the Wild actually nerfs the amount of skill points you get per level. you'll see that if you have Call of the Wild on, whether it's Call of the Wild and Eldritch Arcana, or just Call of the Wild itself, you'll have a lot less skill points. It's something that they think is an improvement in that it's more in line with pen and paper. I agree and disagree, but I'm not going to argue the merits of both of those points right now. But just know that skill ranks are going to be few and far between, even if you went a human build. But deity selection is going to be important, and for slightly different reasons. One, if I'm playing, say, someone that wants to play an evil Necrolord, which we've talked about, there's a lot of necromancy spells for the War Priest. There's a lot of conjuration spells for the War Priest. Those are the two schools that stick out to me the most for schools that you'd probably want to get spell focus in. So decide now, again, are you going to be a conjurer type? Are you going to be a necromancer type? Maybe you're not going to be either. Maybe spell focus doesn't appeal to you. You're just going to use the spells, be buffed up, swing a weapon, and hit like a brick shit house. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why War Priests are so fun. It's like the Magus. There's a half a dozen ways to play them. Do you want to attack with your spells? Are you going to focus on your spells? Or are the spells just there to supplement your ridiculously good fighting skills? Again, you're not going to be a fighter, but you can make yourself better than one with all your buffs. So again, you need to make that decision on your own, and I can't decide that for you. But I will point out that deity selection is going to be another one of your big selling points. Why? Because A, the favorite weapon is going to be important to you. B, the domains, while we don't actually get domains as a war priest, you do get these things called blessings. Okay, you get 2 of them, and they come from the domains. Okay, you don't get the spells that are associated with the domains, like a cleric would, but you do get an earth blessing, a law blessing, or again, down the list, depending on what type of deity you pick. And that basically will give you a free spell or spell-like ability or power, if you will, at level 1 for each blessing and at level 10 for each blessing. So that's 4 free things that you're going to get. You need to be picky and choosy. And there's some really good stuff in there. There's some really bad stuff in there too. So again, triage that shit, kind of figure out what you want to be. Alignment restrictions is going to be something else that a deity pick is going to impose on you. So again, if you wanted to be, say, where we are, Urgathoa, notice that if you wanted to be good, you ain't going to be good now. So you're just neutral or the 3 different evils. So again, you got to be choosy. Another reason for wanting to go a specific route, for example, Urgathoa, if we wanted to, we could make ourselves an undead actual character where we use charisma to actually benefit our hit points and our fortitude saves, and basically delete our con stat as a result, because we would be officially undead in the game. That could be cool. Again, if for a Necro Lord, this would be a cool way to go. One of the ways to go that way is you have Urgathoa as your deity of choice. Another way, though, is just to get, say, spell-focused necromancy, which would be the obvious way. So you don't have to go Urgathoa, but it kind of makes sense. He's the death guy, but so is, I want to say, Pharasma? Oh, yeah, the Lady of Graves. So a death domain guy, or gal, if you will. And her favorite weapon is dagger. So again, if you didn't want to go with the scythe as a favored weapon of choice, then again, there's other options. Hell, I could be an undead worshiper of Shellen for all she cares. She doesn't care got rat's ass. Again, I just have to be someone that focuses in spell-focused necromancy. So again, variety of choices, and again, alignments and weapons are going to be kind of the biggie, as well as the domains, which are going to dictate your blessings. Okay. Again, I don't know what the best answer is, so I kind of just pick one that makes kind of sense to me. Know that if you are getting one that's an unarmed, let's see, does it tell us this? No, not there. Spell conversion. There's one that tells you if you pick, here it is. If you pick a deity that unarmed strike is their favorite weapon, we get improved unarmed strike as a bonus feat. So for free. So again, you'll feel like a monk. But again, if I were to go that route, I would have been the Sacred Fist, the subclass of War Priest that already gives you all that shit and makes you feel like a monk in the first damn place with spells. So again, potato patata, you can do it any way you want. I do like the weapon upgrades and the armor upgrades. If you're going to go armor, again, we have light, medium, heavy. We also have the ability to use all the shields except for tower shields. Really decent list of stuff that you'll have access to. As such, the obvious choice to me is, again, a strength-based build. So if you're going to do that, I'd find someone with a big-ass goddamn weapon. Let's see, Abadar's got a crossbow, Asmodeus is a mace, Glistria, rapier, boring. Another rapier, Desna, star knife. Jesus, anyone got a good weapon? Gorham, there we go. Get a good great sword going on. And again, he's got chaos, destruction, glory, strength, and war. That could be fun. And then for your heritage, now this is where we got to be picky for our Aesmer build. And again, Tiefling may even work as well, but we're looking for anything that's a Charisma bonus, a Wisdom bonus, a Strength bonus, a Con bonus, but 2 of them would be good, and this one's 2 right here. The ability to cast Searing Light for free once a day, a little bonus to Persuasion when we're using it for diplomacy checks and perception checks. Straight up generic Aesmer is pretty decent. Angelkin, on the other hand, is the one that most people shoot for when you're doing a Paladin build, and this is applicable for a War Priest build in my opinion too, because it's a bonus to Strength and Charisma. No penalties, and that's one of the reasons you love the Aesmer. No penalties, just a bonus and a bonus. So again, a Strength bonus 2 and Charisma bonus 2. That gets us closer to our 13 minimum that we need for Charisma for our ability to do selective channeling. And a Lesser Restoration spell once a day, free of charge. And we get a bonus to Lore Religion, that's our thing, and use Magic Device, which isn't our thing, but it could be. So again, Angelkin is a solid choice. There's no real wrong answer in a lot of these things. There's some that's just straight up silly, like Charisma and Intelligence. Charisma is useful, Intelligence, I could care less. This one here, Con and Charisma, again, you are going to be front ranks. Why not have a character that can take a beating? And again, the ability to summon animals, summoning could be your thing. Remember, Conjuration could be a spell focus for you. This could be useful. So again, up to you to decide what the best choice is. We're just going to go generic Angelkin. Feel like a better version of a Paladin, in my opinion. From here, skill-wise, notice that we'd like to get at least Charisma to 13. But again, most things we want to end on a perfect even number. Strength, we'd like to get it to, say, probably 19. And then from there, we just like to dump everything into Wisdom. 16 is all you need. Now, sure, we could make that go higher. If you're going to rely on spells for DC checks, for example, you'd want to have a Wisdom of like 20, 22, 24 being the best. Before gear, of course. This is a solid way to do things. But again, if you want to be a physical character, this is your go-to. If you don't care about Charisma and you want to rely on gear, for example, to bring your Charisma up so you can be capable of picking Selective Channel, you may do so. I don't do that, and the reason I don't do that is because I hate relying on gear to give me the stat that I need. Everybody's different on this. In our house, for pen and paper rules, we would never allow you to wear, say, like a strength belt and say, oh, suddenly you have power attack now. Oh, good on you. You got your strength belt on. Now, that seems stupid. And everyone could say, well, it's in the rules. And it really is, turns out. But it's always one that we've always thought was like, what? That seems weird. And again, everybody's going to be different on this. These are okay stats. Notice that we don't have much in the way of con. We don't have much in the way of dex or intelligence. So we are going to be weak. We are going to be subpar. We're not going to have the best skills. And it's not going to be the best build ever. But this will meet all the requirements I have. If you wanted to go crazy, we could go back. Let's see, heritage-wise, is there anything that is Wisdom, Charisma, Con, and Wisdom? Let's do this one here. And a whole person spell for free, not bad. If you go change the picks around a little bit, let's set everything back to normal. So this would be what it should look like. You get a bonus to intelligence. Sorry, Wisdom into Con, and then now we got points to spend. Now this is where we would say take Wisdom to 19, take your Strength to 16, you still have a decent Con, and if you don't care about that AoE healing ability, the channeling energy, maybe you want a solo and you're never going to use that until after the fight anyway, or you don't want to worry about hurting the undead because it's never going to be your undead. So again, you don't have to be selective about your channeling because you're going to just target bad guys, period. Then again, you can go this route and you don't need Charisma. And then from there, the extra 2 points, you can dump it in here into Intelligence, give us another skill point every now and again. Or maybe you just really, really, really want to have that extra dex. Or hell, maybe you just really want to have a slightly better Con, extra HP, extra Fortitude. There is nothing wrong with going this route. Again, I'll just do generic. So we do 16, 10, 12, 12, 19, and 10. We'll put 1 point into Wisdom to get it to 20, and then 4 points into Strength to bring it to 20 as well. Again, no particular order in that. I'd probably go Strength first, Wisdom last. So again, that's kind of on you. But we do have enough skill points now to, we'll get 2, and then we'll get 3, and then 2, and then 3, and then 2. Again, this is the penalties that I was telling you about because of the Call of the Wild mod. But Perception is always a staple, especially if you're going to try solo. Lore Religion is kind of your thing. It kind of makes sense to invest in that. And again, use Magic Device was still a staple. What was our heritage giving us a bonus to, just so I remember? Persuasion and Perception. So let's actually do Persuasion and Perception. So again, you're not really seeing the bonus here. There it is, Lawbringer. And then there it is again, Lawbringer. So again, a +2 and a +2. So we're actually doing real well for ourselves. From here, you have to kind of decide on what kind of fighter you are. I mean, we already talked about strength. We already talked about the fact that we have access to the deity's weapon. We actually had access to that weapon already. War priests actually have access to a variety of gear. So simple weapons, martial weapons, and favorite weapon of the deity. So again, the great sword that this deity wields isn't special. It is considered a martial weapon anyway. So we would have had access to it to begin with. So that's not really doing us any favors. Notice we do have the ability to pick a weapon focus, and it can be in any goddamn weapon. It can be any weapon, even if we don't have training in it. For example, we have no training in Bastard Sword, but I can pick this right now if I so choose. That's on you. You'd have to pick exotic weapon proficiency to get Bastard Sword. That'd be a thing. If you played, like, say, a dwarf, you know, the Dwarven War Axe is available here. And again, that's pretty cool, but it's still one of those that it falls under the category of exotic weaponry, unless you were a dwarf. So again, you'd have to unlock that ability. I'm not getting everything here, so there might be something going on. But the Dueling War Sword, for example, again, another exotic weapon that we don't have skill in. But if you wanted to keep with the weapon of choice, you don't have to, but you can get Greatsword and just run with that thing. I am a fan of using stuff that we know just happens to be a lot in the game, and it's still a solid weapon. So again, I don't mind being the longsword guy. So again, I'm fine with that. You can be a quarterstaff person. You can go for scimitars. You can go for double daggers if you want a two-weapon wield. There's a variety of choices for you. Again, nothing tying you down. Glaive is another fine example of a solid swinging weapon in this game. And again, we already have it actually in our portrait. That's what the guy's wielding right here. So again, we could have gone that route as well. So there's a variety of choices for you here. So don't let that bog you down. Just know that you want to pick something that you're going to have skill in, that you have the ability to actually pick up at day one. And that's going to be probably your weapon of choice for the rest of the game. You don't have to, but you already have weapon focus in it, and it's going to be benefited in a variety of ways. It makes sense to keep with that weapon focus, or at least pick it and then pick another weapon focus for another off weapon, for example. Like say you can go longsword now, maybe you'll grab weapon focus greatsword later, or glaive just to have a reach weapon, or crossbow so you can have a ranged weapon. Again, that's on you. Notice that we have as our deity choice, because we can be good or neutral or evil, we have the choice of being a positive healer, so healing bonuses, or a damaging war priest. So again, ones that do inflict spells. So that's kind of on you. Are you channeling negative energy or are you channeling positive energy? Well, if you're being the Necro Lord, this is probably your go-to. Especially if you're going to make an undead character, this allows you to turn any of your spells into an inflict spell. Those inflict spells can heal you if you're undead. But we're going to actually be a good guy. So spontaneous healing is a solid choice for me. I channel positive energy. I'm the typical good cleric, even though I know it's a war priest. You get the idea. Notice we have our blessings here. We'll talk about those in a minute, but let's actually first talk about our drawbacks. So we're going to take a physique drawback. We could do the you were cursed. Remember, if we wanted to be undead, this would be one of the ways to do it. And it's because of these mods that we have access to this, the Eldritch Arcana mod in particular. You need a spell focus, or specifically spell focus necromancy. I don't know why they give you a choice here. To me, it should be either spell focus necromancy or Urgathoa as your deity. Honestly, they should have added Pharasma. They're both undead or death deities, so that would make sense to me. But for whatever reason, they've added any spell focus. So if you have spell focus divination, you can totally pick undead curse. Why you would, I don't know. But again, if you want to be the Necro Lord, you would probably want spell focus necromancy anyway. Again, then that could be something you can unlock then. Remember to do this after you floored your constitution stat. Take it all the way to goddamn 7, 5, however low you can take it. Because once you become undead, you don't have a con stat anymore. That's a good way for you to jack up your other stats and be an uber character, especially if you're trying to run solo. But we're not going to go hedonistic or undead curse yet. Hedonistic is the one that we probably pick, but we're not going to do that yet. We're going to do the emotional drawback. We'll take envy. This is usually my go-to. Envy for the emotion drawback. And then if we do additional traits later on, I'll do the physique drawback and I'll pick up hedonistic. Both of those are a penalty, but both those are a penalty if you don't have money. If you have money, the penalty doesn't exist, which is why you love these. Why do you do this? Because this will actually give you another trait. So now we have 3 traits. Well, what traits would we want? Well, What weapons do we have? We have a longsword. How about we get a magical longsword right off the bat? A family heirloom. Scroll on down, grab yourself that longsword. Now, not only do we have a +1 longsword, we also have skill with longsword. That's another +1, so that's now +2. We have weapon focus in longswords. Now we're at +3, and you had a 16 strength, didn't you? That keys off of strength, so again, another 3 added to the 3 we just talked about. You're up to a +6 to your swing at level 1. Okay, it's an amazing start for your character. And we're not done yet. Because we went longsword, we also have campaign traits. And you'll see that Sword Scion is a possibility. Notice we can get a bonus to all our attacks and combat anywhere made with either an Eldori dueling sword, which we do not have, or a longsword, which we do have. So again, appeal here. A nice bonus for your character. And I think that's a solid way of going. From there, you are a faith-based character. So again, high wisdom means wisdom in the flesh is a solid choice. Now notice this replaces your strength or your dex or your charisma stat for any of the skills that we pick here. Well, strength is already going to be good, and by the end of the build, it's going to be pretty goddamn good. In fact, it's going to be equal to your wisdom, so there's no reason to replace it in athletics. If we're talking about dexterity, your dexterity sucks. So if you want more mobility, or if you wanted more stealth, or if you wanted more thievery, trickery, I think is what the real reason here. The point is, you could do so, and it could key off of your wisdom instead of your dex stat, which again, straight up sucks. So if you want to pick locks, hey man, do that thing. If you wanted to have it in stealth, be a little ninja bastard, fine. I'd suggest probably either mobility. Since our charisma is not going to be great, we could have just as easily gone to persuasion. As you can see here, instead of charisma, we would key off your wisdom. Or use magic device, and that's the one I'm going to pick, because use magic device is highly useful. And again, a solid choice for your character. Now let's talk about our blessings before we talk about our feats. Notice these are the laundry list of ones that are available to us. And notice these are all just keyed off of blessing. It would be normally nobility domain. So these are the exact same things, the domains for the deities. However, again, we do not get the spells associated with those domains. We are not a cleric. We are going to get a blessing, 2 of them in fact. If you click one, you can literally see the 1-2 punch every time. At level 1 and at level 10, you'll see 2 things show up. And again, we get 2 choices. So pick one, take a look at them, see if this strikes with what you're thinking your character will do. Here's a bonus to your weapon, damage against lawful creatures, boring. Over here, we do have the ability to summon a pet, summon monster 4 for free for 1 minute. You only summon 1 creature, so you get the best on that list, in my opinion. And then it steadily gets better. So it goes from level 4 summon monster all the way up to level 9 summon monster by the end of the build. So again, that could be fun. Let's take a look though at destruction blessing. Let's see what this one gives us. Morale bonus on weapon damage equal to half your level. That's not bad. That's actually pretty goddamn good. Bonus to damage, half your level, so level 20 you get a +10 to your damage for 1 minute. That's definitely worth. And what is our upgrade here? Heart of Carnage. Touch an ally that includes you and bless it with even greater destructive power. 1 minute, they get an insight bonus to attack rolls made to confirm critical hits. 50% chance to treat any critical hit or sneak attack against it as a normal hit. So literally the ability to reduce incoming sneak attack or crit damage to your character. That can be fucking awesome. Let's pick that one. What else might we have? Here's strength. Let's take a look at what it does. Strength blessing. Okay, enhancement bonus equal to half your war priest level on melee attack rolls. Counter newer skill checks that rely on strength for 1 Hagen round. It is at least a swift action. So that's not bad. And then over here, strength of will, 10th level, swift action, ignore movement penalties caused by wearing medium or heavy armor. Sounds awesome to me. Or by carrying medium or heavy loads. This effect lasts for 1 minute. During this time, you can add your strength modifier on saving throws against effects that would cause you to become entangled, staggered, and paralyzed. Free game, sweet. What does War Blessing do, just so we can see what these other ones are all about? Bonus to saves, dodge, attack roll. Wow. Advantage. The ally gets one of the following. So we get speed, dodge, attack bonus, saving throw bonus. Battle Lust. Plus for insight, most for hits. Yeah. Regeneration. What about Glory Blessing? What are you looking like? Glorious Presence. Mesmerizing, boring. Demoralizing Glory. Let's see. When spending a swift action 1 round when you damage an opponent with an attack or a spell, you attempt to demoralize that opponent with the Intimidate skill, using ranks and Intimidate, or War Priest level, whichever is higher. It could be a nice Corn Against Smashed Shatter Defenses type build. You don't need Corn Against Smash then, because you're actually already demoralizing them with this ability. Now, it's a clickable, you only get so many uses a day, so there is that, but that could be fun. I still say we go back to the strength, though. Let's be a strength-mongering son of a bitch. Now let's go back to our feats, and while I could just as easily pick just one like Power Attack, which is an obvious, and we already got Weapon Focus and a Longsword, I am going to suggest that you take a penalty in Spell Vulnerability. Since we're going to be, I guess, good guys, I'm going to take Spell Vulnerability to Necromancy because maybe Unholy scares me, and it's my natural bane, if you will. That's on you. Normal people would pick Abjuration because it's the least intrusive. Weakness to cold is not that big of a deal. And Abjuration, penalties to your saves against Abjuration spells, there's not that many in the game. But I will take that Power Attack. But what else would I take? I'm also going to take that Spell Focus Conjuration that we talked about. So let's get down to that. Spell Focus, Conjure. Now, what are we going to call ourselves? How about Conjure? I'm very creative today. He sounds like he's pious. And again, notice that we have alignment restrictions. Chaotic good, neutral, chaotic evil. I'm going to go with chaotic good because I know there's some spells where being good is useful.
I have no need for this.
He has no need for this, though. So now, we've made the character. We need to just get over to the dragon, sell some stuff off, power level him to 20, and then show you what the leveling process would feel like. First, we'll show you the different weapons that we get. Again, because of the various backgrounds and traits that we picked. We got a free couple of swords, as well as a really nice long sword. So here's our +1 cold iron longsword that gave us for free, another longsword, and a dueling sword for free. And we'll just sell this junk off. So we're going to do so. So, we need some supplies. Take all my junk. Thank you. Bye, dragon. Alright, so I'm going to come over here. Quick save it. Control F10. Bag of tricks. Character creation. Coming down to party experience. We're going to say 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros in a row. Click on the name of your character. Close that up, and now you're level 20. Okay, now look at all the stuff that we already have. You're going to get a laundry list of stuff under abilities. Don't kid yourself. Spells are going to be nice, but abilities are actually going to be pretty damn huge too. It's because of this weird shit right here. War Priests are actually very, very fun. It's quite fiddly. There is some tricks, some bad things that can happen as well if you're not planning or paying attention, so I want to steer you in the right direction. Notice that we're down to 2 points again. It's like I said, with the 12 intelligence, we're getting 3, then 2, then 3, then 2. So here's our 2. I'm going to unlock athletics though, because we knew we wanted that anyway. Nice fervor ability, knows quicken personal spell. As a swift action, War Priest can expend one of the abilities to cast any one single target War Priest spell he has prepared with a cast time of 1 round or shorter. When cast in this way, the spell can target only the War Priest, even if it could normally affect other targets. Spells cast in this way ignore somatic components and do not provoke attacks of opportunity. Awesome. War Priest does not need to have a free hand to cast a spell in this way, so you could go glaive, you could go sword and board. Remember, we have the ability to wield a shield if we so choose. Another reason that you're going to feel like a fighter, again, which is one of the reasons why I made the mistake earlier, and again, I need to apologize for this, is I thought you got a BAB at the end of the build by 20. You do not. You actually get what's the equivalent of a BAB of 20. You basically get the equivalent of your level in War Priest level for BAB, but only for purposes of being accessible to another feat pick. So for the prerequisites where it says you have to have a BAB of 6, well, you wouldn't have a BAB of 6 until you're level 8. But for this build, because you're a War Priest, at level 6, the game thinks you have a BAB of 6, even though you do not, and therefore you can pick that feat now. Also, this is where it gets even cooler, it does the same for fighter levels. A War Priest level 20 is considered fighter level 20 for purposes of meeting the prerequisites of a feat. And that's some really good stuff that's in there. So again, if you wanted to play a really good fighter but has some spells, War Priest is, in my opinion, the way to go. Another reason you want to be a War Priest is, again, the free weapon focus is awesome. Not to mention that at every 3rd level, 3, 6, 9, and on up, you see we're getting a free combat feat. And it's not quite as cool as a fighter who gets them at every even level, so 2, 4, all the way up to 20. They get 10 extra goddamn feats there. And I think they even get a free one at level 1. So Fighter is definitely cool, don't kid yourself, but we have some fun to have with the fact that we get these combat feats. So be aware of that. Let's go skill ranks again as always. Now we're back to 3 again. Always want perception up. I'm going to unlock use match device at this point, and mobility. No. I could unlock Lore Nature because again we do have enough wisdom that we would make it reasonably useful. I think I'm just going to keep punching Lore Religion and Persuasion up. Try to get them caught up a little bit. From here, I like to skip and go to the combat feat first because it's more restricted list. Let me show you some stuff though that's pretty cool and new. If you wanted to wield, say, a longsword and a longsword like a badass, or a scimitar and a scimitar, these are normally not considered light weapons, but if you take prodigious 2-weapon fighting, if you have enough strength, you may do so without that being a penalty. It treats the offhand weapon, even though it's a normal weapon, as if it were a light weapon. That means instead of it being a -4 penalty for both of your weapon swings, it'll be a -2, but only if you get 2-weapon fighting, which again you need. Notice we can't normally get 2-weapon fighting or improve 2-weapon fighting or greater 2-weapon fighting unless you have a dexterity of 15, 17, or 19 respectively. But this goes a step further and treats your strength score as the important stat instead of your dex score for purposes of qualifying for those feats. So we're going to go strength 16 to 17, 18, 19, 20 even by the end of the build. So we could actually get this in 2-weapon fighting, improved 2-weapon fighting, and greater 2-weapon fighting in this build if we so choose. And go longsword, longsword, and choppity, choppity. It's kind of trippy, but it is cool. And this is something new. You can almost always tell it's something new if it's colored on the icon over here. Not all. Some of these new ones are also the normal color. But if they're colored 9 times, if not 10 times out of 10, it's always the new Call of the Wild feat. Hurtful being another fine example. We got a lot of really good stuff. However, since we know we're going to be doing power attack, I kind of like Furious Focus. Again, another new one. Notice it's the normal color, but this is still a new one that's very cool. If you're wielding a 2-handed weapon or a 1-handed weapon like our longsword with 2 hands, what does that mean? If you don't have anything in your offhand, like a shield, another weapon, or casting a spell, like if you're going Magus, for example, you literally are wielding that 1-handed weapon 2 hands. That's a longsword, that's a bastard sword, that's a battle axe. You literally double up on the grip. By doing so, that means you're stronger. You hit harder. Don't hit better, but now this one will allow you to hit better. Why? Because it allows you to ignore the penalty to power attack. The minus to your swing, but bonus to your damage. The minus to your swing goes away, but only for the first hit. This makes you a very, very tough customer when it comes to hitting with the very first blow. And sometimes that's all you need. Hit him once, and then after that, he just starts to crumple. So this could be seriously fun, and I kind of dig that. And there's a variety of other stuff that we're going to pick. But here, we are Spell Focus Conjurer, so things like Augmented Summoning is something that's appealing to me. So I definitely want it, and we're about to unlock level 2 spells, which is where we're going to start getting some summon spells we give a shit about. So I suggest you do so. Remember, this is just a +4 to their strength and con. This is for any of your summons, not your undead, but if we're talking about summon elemental, or summon animals, or summon monsters, or anything like that, they're +4 to the strength and the +4 to con. That's a solid buff for their survivability as well as their damage output. Going, now we're getting our awesome upgrade to our weapon. Again, I could stop at wisdom at 20 right now, or just keep pushing strength, which is what I'm going to do. And perception always up. Another point in... I'd rather get Lore Religion to kind of match if I can. Notice we're accessing level 2 spells now. This is not the entire list. They just give you a truncated list, but look at all the cool shit that just unlocked for us. The ability to channel energy. We got channel positive energy now. AoE heals, AoE damaging of undead. We're going to be very fun. We have the ability to buff our weapon for short periods of time, where we can set it on fire, make it do frost damage, cold damage, shock damage, and again, a variety of other things. We can make it just a magical weapon. A lot of cool stuff that War Priests get. And again, one of the reasons they kind of feel like a Magus. Skill ranks. Let's do that one and that one. Let's just get it all the way caught up. And then from there, we'll just decide which of those abilities below we actually get more shit about. From here, we already got Augmented Summoning. The other one we can grab, way down here in the S's, is called Superior Summoning. Now, we don't have to grab this now, but you can. You could benefit from it at this level. There's nothing wrong with that. I'd probably push it back. So if you're going to push it back, what else might you get? Well, again, we're working on being a tough son of a bitch Maybe you want to be an armored tough son of a bitch. Maybe you want to do that 2-weapon wielding with a longsword and another longsword. Again, on you. But I think just two-handed wielding that longsword is going to be super fun. We could go and work on things that increase our ability to wield a longsword for more damage, like weapon specialization for the longsword. That's a +2 to damage. We could do extra armor for ourselves. If you know you're going to be wearing heavy armor all the goddamn time, feel free to pick that one. There's also medium or light armor, your choice. But know which one you're going to pick and which one you're probably going to equip from start to finish. And again, with no dexterity, you'd think heavy armor is an obvious choice. But you're going to get gear that's going to increase your dexterity. So again, medium may still be a solid thing. There's good breastplates in the game, chain mail in the game, and other stuff as well that fall under this medium category. So if that's going to be your armor of choice, pick that one. If you're going to sword and board it, there is shield focus down below. We can totally grab that shit. And that's just any shield that's a buckler, light shield, or heavy shield, you get a +1 to your armor just for having it in your hands. But again, you do that, now you're not doing the 2-weapon or the 2-handed fighting. So Furious Focus is kind of useless at that point. So again, on you. We could just as easily, though, go with Greater Spell Focus and Conjuration. Make your Conjuration spells really fucking hit. The DC check's going to be high, high, high. Maybe that's not as important to me now. Again, I really unlocked Spell Focus Conjuration, mostly for things like Augmented Summoning and Superior Summoning. But again, on you. Hell, I can start additional traits right now if I so choose. But again, this is going to be something that I'd rather pick later. So for this, at this point, notice we got other cool stuff like Channel Smite we could totally do right now. Cleave is a viable option for this build. And again, with all the combat stuff we're doing, we can do a Cleave, improve Cleave, and Greater Cleave, and improving Cleave finish, and all that fun as shit. But if I did that, I probably wouldn't be using a longsword. I'd probably be doing something like the glaive, like the picture of the character himself, or something else with the reach, like a long spear, or bardiche. Again, there's a variety of choices of weapons out there that have a long goddamn range. But again, on you. I say we just keep doubling down on being a badass when it comes to hurting stuff. Like, what are we gonna grab? What are we gonna grab? Let's take a look at Swarm Scatter just because I'm curious. Teamwork feat though, so you'd have to have a team with you. Toughness is a viable option. More HP, nothing wrong with that. I think weapon specialization also. I'm okay with that. I like doing extra damage, and if not, the +2 to damage is a nice +2 to damage. Okay, going into War Priest level 6. Again, we're always going to make those two go up. Bonus combat feat. Now we get to have some fun. Start the bomb and work our way up. Nothing in there. Nothing in there. Always check. Just because it says thumbs down, that don't mean shit. Initiative could be useful. Hurtful's interesting, but we're not doing that kind of a build. If we try to demoralize an opponent, like if we try to do the Cornigan Smash, notice this here. When you successfully demoralize an opponent within your melee reach with an intimidation check, you can make a single melee attack against that creature as a swift action. If your attack fails to damage the target, its shaking condition from being demoralized immediately ends. So if we scare them, then we get a swift action of smack them in the face. It's kind of interesting. I'm not going to go that route. Hammer the Gap. Where are you again? Extra damage the more we smack a target in the face. Nah. That's in display. I guess we're doing armor focus. Let's go with heavy. Let's go with medium. There's some decent heavy armor in there. There's probably more medium armor that's more viable for you. And again, like I said, you are going to get more dexterity eventually with gear. Notice now we get the ability to upgrade our armor. Make it magical whether we wanted it to be or not. We have the ability now to pump it up a little more. I'm going to get a little more into persuasion. Again, you're trying to rule a kingdom after all. Now, we're considered level 7 Bab and level 7 Fighter. So other stuff may have unlocked itself. So, start looking for cool stuff. Things like Superior Summoning still available to us. Get a Meta Magic. I would recommend if you grab one, we grab Extend. Get many buffs. Extra channels, nothing wrong with that. Elemental Focus, nah. Distracting charge, no. That's a teamer feat as well. What we got? Combat casting, bull rush could be fun. Blind fight is always useful. Greater spell focus. Let's grab that superior summoning now. And again, you're actually accessing level 3 spells, so this is kind of a perfect time for that one too. Cool. Keep going, War Priest. Again, more strength. Those two always up. Bonus to our weapon. Now it could be a +2 weapon, or we can make it disruption or holy. These ones here, though, you'll find that these ones will be grayed out depending on your alignment. So if you're a good, lawful character, the axiomatic, I believe, works. If you are a good character, the holy works. If you're evil, unholy works. And if you're anarchic, this one, if you're chaotic, then this one works. So some will be grayed out, so you can't use them. Some will be perfectly fine. Know that. Alignment is important. More Priest 9. More skills. More skills. Let's unlock some more. Use match device now. First, what are we going to do here? Let's do our combat feat first. Now we can have greater weapon focus. That's looking like a good choice. Improved critical for longsword. That's another good choice. Let's do that one. Bad of 8. We could have picked that up here, but there's nothing to grab it at that level, so that's perfect timing. So we got that. So now our longsword's going to crit on a 17, 18, 19, 20, regardless of whether it's keen or not. We could cast a spell and make it keen. Hell, we can buff it, make it keen with these sacred weapon abilities, but they don't buff it for long. It's like per round. It's not useful like a Magus. So that's a thing. I can get my additional traits now. Is there anything else that's unlocked? Remember, every time you get this, every level upgrade, remember, that's a new level of fighter, new level of BAP. So more stuff shows up every time. So always scroll through to check, make sure you're not missing out on something that's like, oh my god, that wasn't there a moment ago. Why? Chances are it's because you weren't fighter level X or BAB level X. So things that show up are suddenly just amazing. Like critical focus, for example. +40 to confirm your crits. Remember, that unlocks our ability to be all kinds of a badass with our weapon. I'm actually kind of cool with that. Greater weapon focus is another viable option. Cool, cool. Push those two ever higher. New upgrades to our armor. New spell level. So this is actually a spell level 4 now. Go to War Priest, and again now we have these cool abilities: the Heart of Carnage and the Strength of Will. Level 11. All right, what are we going to grab now? Wings. Remember, you are a Aesimer. If you wanted extra armor, you need difficult terrain. This is a very nice upgrade. And matter of fact, I think I'll take that upgrade. That's really nice to have. And I like looking like an angel. Looks pretty cool. Priest. I can do Wisdom now and then finish with Strength. Or just keep pushing Strength to 20. And then at level 20 we'll finish off the Wisdom. And that probably makes the most sense to me. Alright. Now notice Greater Weapon Specialization is now shown up, Fighter level 12. But there's another one down here that you definitely want to put in the P category. Penetrating Strike. You need to be Fighter level 12 and have a weapon focus. We had that at level 1. We didn't have the Fighter level 12 to level 12 character. Now we ignore 5 of their damage reduction. Doesn't matter what kind of damage reduction it is. If damage reduction 2, it's gone. Damage reduction 5, it's gone. If it's damage reduction 10, it's now 5. We subtract 5 from it. Minimum, of course, being 0. So this is nice. We'll be able to get, I want to say 16 or probably 17 because that's the next feat pick. The ability to get greater penetrating strike, and that'll do, instead of 5 that we ignore 10. Makes him a strong hitting opponent. Another upgrade to our weapon. Keep going. So like that. And from here, we are going critical focus. What about those tiring criticals? We can start doing stuff like that. We could do blinding critical and all kinds of other ones. So look for the ones that have critical in the name. critical. Remember, sickening is a massive penalty. Oops, I grabbed the wrong thing. Sickening critical is a massive penalty. The sickening is like a -2 to all kinds of shit. We could just as easily though go for, I just saw it, staggering critical, stagger an opponent. And again, decent amount of rounds, the better the worse the DC check, and of course the less likely they are to pass it, the more rounds you get out of that. That's very nice. Notice we can do more than one of these critical buffs if we get critical mastery, so we'd have to unlock that. And how would we get critical mastery? By grabbing fighter level 14 and having 2 of these things. So here's one right now. Could have picked up one back then, we probably should have. And then at 14 we could have picked up the next one, but again there's nothing available, so we'll grab one here and it'll be critical mastery and then another one here. So what criticals do we want? We want 2 of them. I probably want blinding critical because that one's amazing. Screw you to the bad guy. Which is this guy here. And Bab of 15, this would be the perfect time to get it. So again, if we want to get sickening, get it now. If you want to get tiring, get it now. If you want to get staggering, get it now. But get one of those 3. And I'm recommending sickening just because I know it's pretty badass. Yeah, screw it. Let's get staggering. I like that. Another fun one to play with. Go War Priest, 14. Those guys going up. Looking good, guys. Looking good. 15, 2 feats to pick from now. Looking nice. From here. Again, we want to grab. Oh, blinding critical isn't here. Oh, it's down in the thumbs down category. You lie to me. So we get blinding critical, and then critical mastery. Now this allows us to activate 2. And again, we don't have to limit ourselves to these 2. We could grab more. So not just blinding critical and staggering. I could get sickening. I can get tiring. Tiring you need to unlock exhausting. And again, it's a solid critical. But we're probably leaning too heavy into that at that point. It's probably time to start leaning back on being just an awesome fighter type. Bonus to strength, bonus to your swing, bonus to your damage. You'll appreciate all those things. New spells, that's level 6 spells now. New upgrades to your armor and your weapon. More skills, please. Persuasion. We still have yet to unlock our other additional traits. We should probably do that before too long. Do we want to do that now? We have 1, 2 more feats coming, so sure, why not? So let's take our physique drawback, our hedonistic. That gives us our 3rd trait. Well, what kind of traits would we want? Well, combat trait. We can go armor expert. Remove the penalties from armor. We can get our sneak attack die. It's only 1. Defender of the Society, solid bonus to armor. And medium or heavy, we get a +1, so now we're even better at armor. We've got all kinds of other stuff that we could pick here. You know, like a better initiative, better persuasion, fortitude bonus, not that we need it. Mobility bonus, again, not that we need it. There's a lot of different stuff up in here. But I'll take the Defender of the Society. Armor and weapons are kind of our thing. When it comes to social traits, suspicious is going to perception bonus. We have a nice perception, but remember, it's not a class skill. That would give us a class skill that would jump this up significantly. That's a solid choice. So let's actually take that for the time being. Then for race, remember we are both human and ASMR, so we actually fall under 2 different categories. So now look at the different choices in here. The ones for ASMR are kind of boring. Wary, persuasion bonus, and a perception bonus. Nothing wrong with both of those, but it's still kind of bum. Here's if you want to be a bow person, you should definitely go ASMR for the Toxopholite. Bonus on your attack rolls made to confirm crits with bows specifically. Martyr's Blood, if your health points are really low, you actually get a bonus to fighting evil opponents, for your attack rolls anyway. Kind of dangerous in my opinion, but you may do so, and then you may pick anything that's under the human categories, or of course just Grandma. Everyone likes picking Grandma. Regional traits, I would pick something like Magic Master of some kind. Pick a spell and make sure, of course, you pick a meta magic, but we haven't done so, so that would be silly. Magic trait, same difference, where I would grab something like Magical Lineage. However, you could grab, in my opinion, Dangerously Curious. Why? Use Magic Device was something that we also didn't have any green check mark next to. So we picked up two things right now that increased our perception and our Use Magic Device. Watch this. Bam, bam. Green check mark, green check mark. Big bonuses to both those two skills. That's extremely helpful for you. Go War Priest, skill points, perception always, and at this point, I think I do want to get Use Magic Device up a little bit more. From here, what's our last two picks? So we got our Blinding Critical. Well, remember we did say that we wanted to grab more fighter stuff, so Greater Penetrating Strikes. That's the one we could have grabbed at 16, or in this case 17. That's okay though. Again, this is a solid bonus to your ignoring the damage reduction of a target. And then at 19 we get our last feat pick. And that finishes off. I know it says 12, but it's actually 13 because it's not counting the bonus to the trait. So that's not great. I would have rather finished on a 15, but whatever. So this should have been a 14, and then the extra trait bonus would have been a 15. But I'm fine. That would mean that would be like a little bit lower. But that's okay. And now from here, last thing to pick. Again, do we want to get Greater Spell Focus for Conjuration? Maybe you want to just be really, really good at swinging that longsword. Another +1 is another +1. We get Greater Weapon Specialization. Blind Fight is always a staple. We can start channeling Smites. We can do Cornigan Smash still. We have a variety of things that you can still pick from. There's a laundry list of stuff that's available to you now. And again, stuff that was hidden behind level 19 or lower fighter, level 19 Bab or lower. So there's a lot of different stuff. You can start Tyrant Critical. Stunning Assault is now available. What else might be of interest to you? Sickening Critical again. Remember, you get to switch between two. Quicken Blessing. That's not bad. That means we can use our abilities here and here as a swift action instead of whatever they were before. Quick Channel allows you to use your channeling ability. You burn 2 uses for doing this way, but it allows you to cast it as a move action instead of a standard action. What does that mean? That means you can cast it for like an AoE heal for you and your team, and then still capitalize on doing a spell or an attack chain with your standard action. So that could be useful, but that's not me. I know me. Extend Meta Magic is still a viable option. Still not me. Approved Initiative is decent. So I'm going to highlight that for now. If I'm not grabbing that, then I know me. I'm probably grabbing either Blind Fight or Greater Weapon Focus or Greater Weapon Specialization. More damage, better swing. In this case, Improved Initiative means we have a better chance of starting off the fight. I'm kind of a fan of that since your dexterity kind of crappy. A +4 is a solid bump. Let's just do that one. Get another armor upgrade, last armor upgrade, now the last weapon upgrade, as well as the Aspect of War ability that all War Priests get. Now last point in Wisdom, solid upgrade for your spells. Notice how this went up from a 6 to a 7, and then 5 goes up, level 5 spells go up from a 5 to a 6, see that? And again, we'll have even more Wisdom with gear, so we'll have even more spells today than this. Decent stats, Reflexes is the weak one on the list. This is why you might want to make like a dex space build. If you're going to do that, you're probably keeping the light armor. But that's on you. Hey, I managed to get to the 14. And it's 15 like I want it to be. Yay, us. That's what I would shoot for. I'm cool with that. And that's not bad. Now, before we get into all the knickknacks and fiddly bits of spell casting, let's talk about the god-awfulness of that trait right there. Look at this mess. So charge, of course, is going to be a thing you're meleeer. Coup de grace is going to be a thing you're going to be a meleeer. Same with fighting defensively. You may not be good at it, and you can have any points in mobility, but sometimes you just need to have extra armor. For you can do that thing. But look at all the stuff that we have available to us. Let's actually do a quick rest to recharge all our abilities. We'll do this multiple times, but this will be enough to see the official number right now without gear. Notice that our wings are on. You'll always leave them on, so don't bother dragging this down to your tray to shut them off, because why would you? You're just going to always leave them on and never shut that off. They should always stay on. I'll grab your spell-like abilities, your whole person that you forget for being a Isomer. Make sure you get your power attack down here. You definitely want to have your toggles down here. So here's your staggering critical and your blinding critical. And remember, we can have both of them on thanks to critical mastery. As far as other stuff, you're going to want to have your positive energy heal, positive energy damage undead. You're going to want to have your abilities, your destructible abilities. You have your destructive attacks, strength surge. Maybe you don't want the fervor ones up here. You can just grab them later, in my opinion. Heart of Carnage, on the other hand, though, sure. Strength of Will, sure. And then this last one here, your Aspect of War. And also your Halo. Once you get that at level 1, you're always going to have that on. You'll never shut that off. Don't put it in your tray. Notice that didn't even remotely give us anything for our weapon upgrades or our armor upgrades, which we will do next. And then we'll pick spells. Get off my tray. Now, for weapon upgrades, this is this guy here. I would usually put one there, same with the shield or the armor one. Put it here, and then put just like one other thing underneath it. Why just one? Because there's so many to choose from. I just want to remind myself that we have the ability to do something with it. Like here's a flaming weapon, sure. Here is your sacred armor. Why don't you give yourself the ability to heavily fortify yourself. And again, that just reminds me that I can activate these toggles or other toggles and activate that buff. But there's some tricks associated with this, and I need to show those to you. Then the next thing that we'd have to do is we would have to show you spells. So let's actually do that now. I am a stickler for things like Bless twice, Shield of Faith twice. Why? Because buff, and then when that fight's over, buff again. Solid choice. In Divine Favor, solid buff. You may disagree. You'd be mistaken. This is a solid bonus to your swing and a solid bonus to your damage for 1 minute only. But if you get jumped in the force, this is the one you want to use versus, say, like Divine Power, which is coming down the road. Another possible option for stuff out here that I like, I love my Unbreakable Heart as well as my Remove Sickness, and I like them for the same reason. They have not only a pre-buff, they could also be a after the effect kind of thing. Like if I screwed myself and forgot to cast this, no, I've been affected by a fear effect, and I have control of my character, I can cast Unbreakable Heart and it suppresses the effect. Same with Remove Sickness, it could suppress the effect. So I like those. Remember, I can slot Inflict Light Wounds and other inflict spells as I level up, but I don't need to slot any of the cure spells, because remember, I am a curing person. I am a positive energy channeler. So I can convert any of these spells, including inflict spells, into cure spells of the same level. If I was playing an evil character and I was channeling negative energy, for instance, like a Necromancer, Necrolord, Necromancy spells like this, I would not slot, because again, I can convert any of these to a Necromancy spell. So again, know how that stuff works. Other stuff in here that I'm a fan of, I love me some Bone Shaker. Delay Poison could be useful. You don't need that if you're undead, but we're not playing an undead character. We didn't go Transmuter. Notice we have spells over here, so make sure you pay attention to there. I love my Lesser Animate Dead. Path of Glory could be okay. Consecrate could be good. Desecrate could be really good if you're focusing on necromancy stuff. We're going to talk about buffs. Resist Energy could be decent, but with your armor upgrade, we have the ability to basically cast that on ourselves for a minute at a time. And I'd rather use those instead of a precious spell slot. But Lesser Restoration, that could be of use. Again, depending on the type of Asimur you pick. This could have been free once a day, so you wouldn't have to necessarily slot that. I don't mind Savage Maw, as weird as it is to say. This is nice because, again, if I want to intimidate targets, I can literally end the spell early and go, ah, and scream in a big circle. And it's kind of like Dazzling Display. So that could be fun. Over here, I like myself. What's our console right here? Pass. Magical Investment. Prayer, probably a couple times. It doesn't last long, and it's a buff/debuff. Channel Vigor is a self buff. Deadly Juggernaut's a nice buff. Animate Dead's a decent one. Again, you notice I haven't taken one damn resist or summon monster spell yet, so that's something that we're going to want to get on. So let's do that right now. There's a monster here. Summon monster here. I'll even grab a summon large elemental at this point. And same here. Huge elemental. That sounds good. Back to level 4. What are we going to grab after we grab Summon Monster 4? Death Ward's a solid buff. Divine Power is amazing. Freedom of Movement's useful. Restoration's always fun. Perhaps you want to have Rigor Mortis, something that's like auto hit. Maybe you want Forceful Strike, so when you hit him once, it just hits for like a brick shit house of damage. Again, on you on stuff like this, but there's really good choices. Again, watch my videos; they'll explain a lot of stuff. I'm just going to randomly pick something there. And I should point out though that if I went this way, remember if there's a DC check, is there a saving throw associated with this one? Yep. Then remember we have Spell Focus Conjuration. We have a bonus to the DC here. So again, more likely to land is my point. Over here, Bone Shatter is a staple. Cleanse is useful for you. Flame Strike is fun. Vine Trap is a nice conjuration spell. Righteous Might. Again, there's a lot of good stuff in here. Let's actually grab Righteous Might. Over here at level 6 is a really good spell called Eagle Soul. There it is. Conjuration spell. Notice how this one you have to be good to use it. Remember, I specifically picked Chaotic Good on purpose. This is why. I'm going to grab that one. I'll grab Heal Spell so I can heal myself up. Remember, this is not the spell you convert to. The spell you would convert any of these to for a healer type is the Mass Cure Moderate Wounds. So know that that's different, obviously. And again, if you're channeling negative energy, you would convert your spells into Mass Inflict Moderate Wounds, not Harm. Harm is good. Heal is good. But this is AoE, so is this. There's slight differences there. So be aware of stuff like that. I'm going to grab Wildfire Ray, because why the fuck not? Now we're going to do another rest to get our spells back. Now I am going to take all these off the tray and put them where I think they make the most sense. Now I know this video's gone on a long time. I'm not going to show you a lot of stuff, but I do want to show you some of the mechanics, like with the weapon buffing and the armor buffing, because it is a little weird and fiddly. Normally I put like a light spell and like a guidance over here. We're not going to do that because we're very limited, as you can see, on spells. But we put Bless, put basically our buffs. And even though this is a buff, it's more of an attack than a buff, so I'm going to put it in the other side. Matter of fact, you know what? I think Bless is kind of more of a buff for damaging too. It's for attacking anyway. So I'm going to put it over there, kind of make some room. Oops. Delay Poison. Nice Burst of Radiance, especially if it's evil, they'll take damage. I'm going to put the Animate Dead spells over here. Lesser Resto I'm going to put here, and then Restoration above it. Savage Maws, an attack buff. Magical Investment. Prayers a buff / debuff. Channel Vigor. Deadly Juggernaut's a buff. Animate Dead. We'll have to gift ourselves some Diamond Dust. I'm seeing that already. Of course, we have our Summon spells. Let's just put low, medium, and high. We're not going to pull out all the stops on this, but we just want to show you some fun to be had. What else we got here? Oh, I want that Death Ward. You know you want that Death Ward. You want Divine Power. You want Righteous Might. You're going to put the Bone Shatter. You know what it does. Let's grab Vine Trap because it's a conjuration spell. Then over here we're going to get that Eagle Soul. We got some really good buffs here. And I want to gift to myself some stuff. So we go to Items and Equipment. And I want to say Breastplates. If I can type. Like so. So we have these various breastplates that are in the game. Let's get Breastplate of Afterlife. Oh, what else? Black Dragon, Heart of Valor, Black Dragon Breastplate, Void Mirror. That sounds like a good enough choice. Then for long swords, my favorite, of course, is the one called Perfection. But the Unbound Blade, the Thundering Speed, Construct Bane, Longsword +2, the Light of Valor, all good choices. Rage Claw. There's some really good longswords in this game. That's going to be good enough for me. Now, why did I do that? Because I want to show you. We need to go talk to our dragon so they can identify this stuff. We don't have knowledge arcana, so we have to have them look at it and say, "Oh, that's this. Do you want to sell it?" Nope. Fuck off, dragon. That shit's mine. Light of Valor. Put that there. Then I'm going to grab our Perfection. Let's just grab the Thundering Speed Construct Bane. Sure, why not? And there's others. Again, we got our Rage Claw. We got our... oh, that's cheap. That's an adamantine one, by the way. Sword of Eternal Servitude. An Unbound Blade. Matter of fact, let's get rid of our Cold Iron and put something over here like the Unbound Blade. Sure, why not? As far as armor is concerned, notice how this is not magic. And if we right-click this, notice that we have a variety of buffs here. We have a +5 armor, because that's what scale mail is. Notice we have to sell something because we're at a penalty. Matter of fact, let's go do that right now. Supplies. Hey, bro. Want to take this weapon from me? Give me money. Take our penalties away from us. That's why you always want to keep cash on hand. That's the hedonistic and the envy buff, debuff was on our characters. Now we don't have that penalty anymore. So notice an Unbound Blade. It's a shock weapon, so it does electrical damage. Has that nice crit range because we have improved critical. So we have a really good chance to crit with these weapons. They do solid damage. And notice how your damage went up. It's 2d8. Why is that 2d8 for a longsword? That should be 1d6, right? So what's going on there? Well, let me show you something about War Priest that's fucking cool. The Sacred Weapon is very similar. If you read this bottom paragraph only, this is really kind of the important part here. This is the interesting thing about the War Priest, in my opinion, that feels like a monk part. Remember, if you start off as a monk level 1 and go 20 levels of monk, you start off with weak-ass fist punches, and then they steadily get better. So when you get to a higher level of monk, suddenly they do more damage, and then they do more damage, and they do more damage, and you get the idea. Same principle here, but with a weapon. Now, it will not take a weapon lower than it. So if you have a 1d10 weapon at the get-go, it will not lower it to 1d6. It won't even touch it at 1d8 here. It'll stay 1d10 through this level, and then after that, it steadily gets better. So again, you will always routinely see a 2d8 here. Sometimes it's less, like I have done dagger builds for whatever reason, because I was a small person probably, and because it was a dagger, it stayed at a 1d10. But again, that's for a dagger. A dagger should be 1d4, so the fact that it's upgraded is super fucking cool, and adds to your damage output a lot more than you think. Remember, the average of 2d8 of damage is 2 is the minimum, 16 is the maximum. Add those numbers together, that's 18, now divide by 2. The average damage now for that longsword, just a generic longsword, is 9 for this build. If it was a regular longsword, see how it's a 1d8 of damage? That'd be a 1 is a minimum, 8 a maximum, that's a 9, divided by 2. The average damage would be 4.5. So we're actually doubled our average damage with just the weapon by being a War Priest, which again is fucking cool. I always thought that was a neat little bonus. And again, if we can make ourselves bigger, that 2d8 scales because it's a bigger weapon category, so I think it jumps up to a 3d8. So get, again, a lot more bang for your buck when you play a War Priest. So that's kind of cool. Notice for our armor, I wanted to show you this part. So our armor is +5 because that's what scale mail, normal scale mail is. Notice we have a focus in medium armor focus. Any medium armor we wear, we get +1. And a defender of the society, any medium or heavy armor we wear, we get another +1. So those all stack. So we're at a solid armor right now for a generic level 1 character, quite frankly. You give yourself some dexterity and you yourself some decent armor that allows you to use max dexterity. This one only gives you up to 3. We can definitely get it up to 3, if not more. All that would require that you get a dexterity of 16. That's easy enough for us to do. We can probably get this dexterity up to a solid 18, 20, probably even a 22 if we really pushed it. I'd say either 18 or 20 would be a solid answer here. So that'd be a +4 or +5. And again, we have a variety of different armors here. Here's one that's 3, 3, 3, and 5. The Heart of Valor would be kind of the one to go with. And it looks fucking tits, no less, too. But notice what this one does. It's mithril, so it's light. So you gotta love that. Solid armor class, and it's a +2 armor. Bonus to saves against fear effects, which of course you would appreciate. Void Mirror, on the other hand. Better armor, adamantine armor. Better dodge bonus, well it doesn't show it here, but when someone tries to hit you with a ray spell, your touch attack is only 2 choices, either a melee touch attack or a ray spell. Or what we call a ranged touch attack. So, Void Mirror gives you a +4 to dodge, which means a +4 to your touch armor against ray spells. So this 10 could actually be a 14. And that don't sound amazing. But remember, we've yet to give you dexterity gear and all kinds of other buffs besides. So this touch armor can actually be pretty darn good. Throw another 4 on top of that against ray spells only. You're doing well for yourself. It's just the melee touch attacks that would be problematic then for you, really. And again, that's kind of cool. If that's not your thing, that's fine. Here's Breastplate of Afterlife. It also gives you energy resistance, and it looks fucking baller. But it also allows you to absorb positive and negative energy attacks against you per attack, 10 points. That's relatively unique. We cast the Day spell once a day as a first level wizard. Who gives a shit? That's lame. But the +1 armor is not, again, amazing. Black Dragon Breastplate, on the other hand, this is a nice breastplate. It's a solid +5 armor. Can be used by druids because it's considered not metal. It's considered plate, like scale. Like an actual dragon scale was what was made of. And it gives us acid resistance 30. Now, that may sound awesome to you because, again, all those things are really amazing. However, we have the ability to make a +5 armor, or the ability to make it acid resistant 30, as you're about to see. So I can just go back to my generic one here, and we can talk about other choices later. Okay, now let's talk about how to buff your armor up, because it's a little confusing. First off, notice we have a variety of spells that's going to give us extra AC. Now, the most obvious one, in my opinion, is this guy here called Magical Vestment. Now, the modder was nice enough to fix a mistake in the game, which also kind of dicked me. I'm not mad. I'm really not. It's actually cool because it was definitely glitchy, and it was an exploit, let's just say it. The original version, Magical Vestment, is in the original version of the game, so those that are playing this on like console or even without mods on PC, you will have this spell. Without the mods, the way this spell works is, first you can cast it on your armor, which includes clothes, so if you had like a robe on, it works on those too, or a shield, but it doesn't work on the shield, or at least it didn't in the past. The modder may have fixed it. I kind of hope they did, and as a matter of fact, let's actually test that for you, because fuck it, what else are we going to do today? Let's just give ourselves a shield. Like, you suck. Give me shields. There you go. Like, raid blocker, sure, why not? Okay. We'll just give it to here. Oh, of course I have to go look at it, talk to the dragon. God damn it. I hate not having or knowledge arcana. Not knowing what the gear is really is a freaking annoyance. But again, if you do this, and you click here, and again, now you see, oh, it's raid blocker, like you always knew it was. So here is our shield. It is a +3 shield. And we get the +4 save to our saving throws against evocation spells. So that's not bad. Now the question is, what kind of a bonus to save is it? Doesn't really say. If it's a resistance bonus, that's crap. If it isn't, if it's something else, then that's actually pretty good, because that'll stack with our resistance bonuses. But let's do a quick save here, and I want to show you why. We have our shield equipped, yes. So it is a +3 shield. If we cast this spell on ourselves, it should take our shield up to a +5 total. You'll see a +3 shield, and then you'll see enhancement +3 on the shield when we go to inventory, and then you'll see a +5 temporary enhancement to the shield. You may think that the two of them together means that's a +8. It is incorrect. I know it does this for armor, and I'll show you that to you here in a second, but I want to test it on the shield first, because if they fix this, then that's actually pretty fucking good news. They did fix it, you fuckers. Awesome. Notice over here, see your shield +6? It is not +5 and 3 makes 8, and one more for the shield makes 9. So it's not +9, it's +6. That's how you know you're not getting the full buff. So while it says temporary enhancement +5, that's bullshit. Remember, the maximum enhancement it can have is +5. Whether that came from the shield itself, or the spell, or a combination of the two, that's what we're talking about. So again, 3 and 5 doesn't make 8 in this case. 3 and 5 still makes 5. That's okay, because that spell's now fixed. Awesome possum. Let me show you the example of the problem. We go load back up before we cast that spell, and I'll show you how it used to work versus how it works now. So let's cast it now on the armor. Okay, so here is our spell, Magical Vestment. So again, this would be something you'd probably want to slot twice now if you're carrying a shield. Magical Vestment for armor, cast it on yourself. If your armor is less than +5, it is now +5 guaranteed for many, 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 many hours. So here's our armor, scale mail. See how it's temporary enhancement +5? And if you go over here, this is where it differs. The modder fixed it. So it's armor +10, 5 from scale mail, 5 from the bonus, from the +5. That's all under one category. It used to be the whatever armor you had fell into this category, The spell, the one I just cast, this magical vestment, fell under a different category, and it was called Armor Enhancement. So you could actually have Scale Mail +5, that you bought at a store, for example, or picked up from an enemy, wear it, cast this spell, and get another +5. So that was definitely broken. They fixed it. That's why I say they screwed me. But it's fine. This is the way it should have been. And again, I can buff myself again with this shield, cast the spell again on myself if I had it slotted twice, and this +3 could go up to a +5. So I could get even 2 more armor here and here. That's not bad. That is literally a +5 guaranteed twice. +5 from the armor, +5 from your shield, whatever shield it may be. And it doesn't even have to be a magical shield. It could be a generic fucking +1, or sorry, generic a light shield that you just picked up off the goddamn ground. You cast a spell on it, now it's +5. That's pretty cool. And again, that's a nice way to up your armor. Now, having said that, I need to show you something first. So let's continue with this. I'm going to show you how we can buff our armor. Remember, that's this guy here, for a minute at a time. If I click this, I'm not going to right now. If I click it, I'll get an icon down here that says for 1 minute, I got a +5 to my armor. But we already have a +5 to our armor because of this, so it will not stack. Okay. Also, this will not stack with the armor if I had magic armor. It will, just like this buff, remember how I said that if I had these armors on, like this guy here, which is +1, the +1 in this spell, +5, would still stack, but only up to the maximum +5. The same is applicable for this clickable ability. It can get you up to +5, no further. So anything that would be further is a waste for you. But it's not a waste because you have the ability to buff it in a variety of ways. Notice you can make yourself resistant to 4 different types of elements: fire, cold, electric, or acid. Notice how each of these take 1 point and it absorbs 10 points of damage per hit. Okay, so if you wanted all 4, that would take our +5 bonus from our armor down to a +1 bonus, and then this, and this would be on your armor. Resistance to these 4 elements, 10. If you wanted the stronger version, notice how it takes 2 points per. So if you wanted to just be, say, 20 resistant to fire, you could do that, but it would take 2 points away from your bonus. If you wanted the best version, the 30, it takes 4 goddamn points. You see how pricey it gets? And there's even more. Not only can you make yourself resistant to elemental damage, you can also give yourself spell resistance, low, medium, high, highest. Again, it takes all 5 goddamn points to get this one. But is it worth spell resistance 25 for 1 minute? Maybe. That's pretty fucking good. And if you don't have spell resistance, we do have the ability to cast it. We didn't pick it, I don't think, but you should. But you could still benefit from it this way. Notice we also have this thing called light fortification. There's moderate fortification and heavy fortification. These are all the same. They cost more points the higher you go up on the tree, of course. But what they do is they decrease your chances of being crit or sneak attack by 25%, 50%, or 75% of the time. If a sneak attack or critical hit would have hit, it rolls a 1d100, and if it's 75 or less, then it doesn't do any damage but the normal damage. So basically protection from critical attacks and sneak attacks. That's pretty fucking good. And this is, again, something you can do for 1 minute at a time. That's what this little clickable is about. Notice we have the same with our weapon, but this one's not a clickable in so much as a toggle. It's per round. So this one lasts for 20 rounds. This one lasts for 20 minutes. If you just keep clicking the goddamn thing each minute that it wears off. So this one lasts longer, but this is still a nice 1-2 combo if you fucking shit up. And same with weapon. Just like we saw with the armor and with the shield bonuses, you can't get above +5. So if you already have a +5 longsword, or whatever weapon you're wielding, turning this on is useless. But turning this on after you've made it a flaming, frost, shock, keen weapon of holy or whatever you're going to do, using up all 5 points, now suddenly your weapon does a shit ton of extra fucking damage. And that's the appeal here. So again, it feels like a Magus, but not quite. Feels like a Paladin, but not quite. Feels like a Cleric, but not quite. Really, really fun character, in my opinion, the War Priest. Now, I wanted to show you a glitch. And again, you have to backpedal to where before we buffed up with that spell. And the glitch is with the armor. So I want to show you, first let's prove to ourselves that we have our, so we have the generic armor on. Click that. Here's your 1 minute buff. See that? Sacred armor for 1 minute. Go here, look under your armor, see how it says temporary enhancement +5? You can believe it. How can you believe it? Go over here. You'll see that the armor is +10. Scale mail should only be +5. Where the other 5 come from? This buff here. But now you say, oh, I forgot I had this spell. Let's do Sacred or Magical Vestment for armor. You can cast that on yourself, right? And that lasts for 20 goddamn hours. So why wouldn't you want this one? Again, awesome. It's +5. So should I be at 10 armor or 15? Still 10. They don't stack. But what's worse, and you're going to hate this, what's the timer click down on this 1 minute? When this one wears off, you would think this one kicks in, replacing it, so to speak. Nope. So now you've screwed yourself. You've cast a spell that's now useless. This buff wears off in a minute, and you go back to having normal goddamn armor. So the order that you cast these, you want to cast the spell before you cast the buff. And the spell would last for full 20 goddamn hours. So the spell's better. But use the spell for extra plus to your armor. Use this buff this way to make yourself resistant, spell resistant, element resistant, sneak attack, crit attack resistant, however you want to do it. But burn up all 5 points with those cool things. Do not let it be a +5 upgrade like this, because that's stupid. And again, I'm about to show it to you how when it crashes, it does take away the +5. And you'll know it because your armor goes back to being 5. See that scale armor? 5, because that's what scale armor is. And you see, you still have the buff on you, but it's bullshit. So that's the mistake. So again, the order is important. And it's not really the modder's fault. They can't possibly test everything. And again, I would assume, just to show it to you because it's in your spell book, I would assume Greater Magic Weapon is similar with buffing your weapon versus buffing your weapon this way. Use Greater Magic Weapon. You'll have a +5 weapon guaranteed. Then use this, but instead of it being a +X weapon, because +5 is as high as it can go anyway, make it, like I said, the Flaming Frost, Shocking, Keen Weapon of Disruption, or, whatever you fucking, like. You got a lot of stuff here. We got Brilliant Energy is an amazing one. We got a Holy Weapon for you, Anarchic Weapon for you, just because of our alignment picks. Knows how the ones that are grayed out. For some reason, Ghost Touch Weapon is always grayed out for me, and I don't know why. I've tried different alignments. It's always grayed out. You cannot select it. So I don't know what that's about. So it's just clearly a problem. But whatever. I wasn't really relying on that one anyway. Honestly, for me, the real take-home is the... How are you? No. Here. The Brilliant Energy one. The one that turns it into a melee touch attack, except against undead constructs or objects. That's amazing for you. You just destroy shit with a Brilliant Energy buff. And make it a Brilliant Energy Flaming buff, for example, or Shocking, whatever you want to do, and have some fun. Well, if it's fighting those undead constructs or objects, well, for constructs and objects, just pick something else. But for undead, notice how we get Disruption. It's only 2 points to do that one. So you can make it a Disruption weapon and watch those fuckers just get nuked. Every time they get hit, they roll a saving throw. If they fail the saving throw, they're destroyed. Doesn't matter how much their health was. But, there it is. A disrupting weapon must be a bludgeoning melee weapon. See, I thought that was part of a tooltip somewhere. So again, won't work on our longsword. So we'd have to make a mace character or something. But still, cool. We have fun stuff that we get to do. And again, I think you'll like this type of characters. Now I'm going to backpedal again. I'm going to grab the awesome buff. And I want to show you downstairs before we cut this video. I want to show you a few really good spells. This is why we went strength-based build, because there's some really good strength potential here. Remember, we finished with a strength of 20, and we're not wearing any magical gear, really, except for stuff that we're buffing ourselves naturally. Besides the magical shield that you have and the magical sword that you're wielding, we're pretty much fucking naked in the breeze here. So it's really the weapons. Let's just switch to this nice Perfection weapon, because it's a solid fuck you weapon. And we'll wield it two-handed. Now, how would I buff up? Well, obviously long-lasting buffs like Delay Poison, Magical Vestment, twice, once for your shield, once for your armor, if you're using a shield. Of course, Shield of Faith, Bless, all solid buffs. I'll take even Savage Maw because it lasts for a long time. Now, having said all that, what do we manage to get ourselves? We got another +5 to our armor here, here, and here because of deflection. Normally that's on a ring. You don't need it. You have Shield of Faith. So again, your ring slots now become more precious. You can do better stuff with your ring slots that have nothing to do with deflection because you have it in spell form thanks to that. And we have it twice a goddamn day. So that's a nice upgrade for you. Besides that, what else might you do? Well, You might cast Prayer, but I'd wait until you get around bad guys because it's a guaranteed debuff to bad guys, not counting spell immunity or spell resistance. There's no saving throw for it, but it's a bonus to you and your team and a penalty to the bad guys. You would appreciate that. But Death Ward is a solid buff for your character at all times, just like Delay Poison is. It just doesn't last very long. It's like a minute per caster level. But here's the coup de grace. So you get stuff like Juggernaut, Divine Power, Righteous Smite, and or Eagle Soul. Not necessarily all at the same time, but if you wanted to go balls to the wall, 3 of those are solid. Why do I say 3? Because all 4 are solid. Notice how this is a luck bonus. This is a luck bonus, so they don't stack. There's stuff that will stack. For example, hold on a second, let me take it in spell book form, so we don't accidentally cast it by mistake. This one will stack with the other one in that, well, it won't stack on the melee attack rolls, or the damage, or the strength check, or the strength-based skill check, but the DR will increase. That's the only thing that will stack, because that's the only buff that it's giving you that Divine Power does not. Divine Power, on the other hand, is again a luck bonus again to attack rolls, weapon damage rolls, strength checks, strength-based skill checks, so athletics, and temp HP. So that part would stack, and so would the extra attack around. So it's basically like haste on your character. So again, a very solid spell. Then Righteous Might will stack all kinds of ways because it's not even a bonus to your swing. It's a bonus to your strength, which is a bonus to your swing, and it's a size bonus. Same with your con. Now, yes, your dexterity goes down. You get some natural armor, though, and you get some damage reduction, depending on your alignment. Pretty badass, and again, makes you bigger. Your weapon hits harder because of that. Then, Eagle Soul, you have to be good to really reap the benefit of this, but a Sacred bonus to armor class, a Sacred bonus to strength, so that stacks with the Righteous Might that we just talked about, and the other 2 spells that we just talked about. So this one stacks, so basically, my point's this. These 2 stack with either of these 2. These 2 don't really complement each other very well. But if you wanted to do, say, something like Eagle Soul, Righteous Might, Divine Power. Quick save that mess. Just sip of coffee because my throat's starting to itch. Better. Excuse me. With those buffs, I want you to see your attack. 4 attacks in a round. That's hasted up because of Divine Power. 36 to your swing for the first 2 attacks. Part of that's because of this high strength. And remember, we're not wearing magical gear yet. You can get that belt of 8 strength. This could go up to a 36. 38 if you take that potion from Bakken. And again, that's a +2 to all your stats. So you can see the appeal here. Yeah, you're clumsy, but you'll have a belt of dexterity, strength, and con anyway. So again, these will go up 8, 8, and 8. You drink that potion from Bakken, these will all go up 2 points across the board. Get that goofy wizard hat, that's a +8 to intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And again, you will have solid fortitude, reflex, will saves. Reflex is probably your weakest spot, but not that big of a deal, and you are pretty goddamn tough anyway. You got okay HP right now, but remember, we don't have magical gear. You start grabbing me those belts, so let's do that. So let's do set filters. I want the belt of physical perfection +8. And let's get the hat of, no, this would not be the hat that I would probably pick, but the hat of mental perfection is the best hat for stat increases. So you do like that, and now look at your stats. Pretty goddamn beefy, right? And again, we have other spells we can still cast on you to make you tougher. We have ways to make you resistant to physical or to elemental damage, or spells, or sneak attack crits. So again, we got a lot of cool buffs going on here, and that's not even counting all the other gear that we give you, that give you immunities to poison, immunity to stagger, immunity to fear, immunity to acid, you know, whatever. A lot of cool stuff that you're going to be able to do as a war priest. And as a solo character, you may say, well, this character would be terrible at soloing because his touch armor class sucks. Yeah, that's true, but he's so goddamn beefy that I haven't maintained that low touch armor class. Even with the best gear, we can get that a little bit better. Even if you didn't, so what? The touch armor, the only real reason that was a key, if you will, for a soloing build was because there's bad guys at the end of the game that do raise spells, and they're really good at them, and that's the touch attack. So if you don't have good touch armor class, you get hammered by those pricks. Well, so what? He can take that beating, and he can dish it out too. So if he runs in, maybe he brings in his undead army with him, or his summoned monsters with him to distract the bad guys. He runs over there and uses that kick-ass longsword, two-handed now, for some epic goddamn damage. Look at that, 47 to 68 and 4 fucking swings in a combat round. The dude's hitting like a brick shithouse. This is fucking amazing amount of damage. And he's huge, solid swing, solid damage, and we have yet to buff him up with everything we could possibly buff him up with. So again, could be fun for a Corn Against Smash, Dreadful Carnage, Shatter Defense build, or a Cleaving build, or just a two-handed weapon build, like I said, with the glaive, or the long spear, or the bardiche, or whatever. Or just pick a really good weapon and crush it. And again, remember, we have a penalty to our swing thanks to power attack, but remember, we have a feat that for the very first swing, the Furious Focus, remember? If we're wielding it two-handed, which we are right now, that -4 goes away for the first swing. So while it says 40, it's actually 44 for the first one. And then the next one's 40, then it's 35, and then it's 30. That's a solid fuck you to the bad guy. And again, we have not buffed up with every possible buff to increase our attack bonuses and what have you. We're doing really well is my point. I think this is a solid character. This is not the best way I could have made him, but he's definitely fun. He'll definitely do the job. He's really tough, really resistant, cool spells, and has damaging spells. The real weak spot to me is the reflex save and the fact that we don't get a lot of skills. If I change something, I'd make him a human. Sure, I would, but these would not be the stats that we'd end up with, because remember, we got a +2 and a +2 thanks to being an Isomer. So yeah, we're not going to be as cool if we went human. We'd have more skills and another feat, and would that be worth it? Maybe. We wouldn't, actually we'd have 2 feats, because again, we wouldn't be able to pick up wings, because an Isomer can pick up wings, we cannot. So again, that means I'd have to pick up something else in that spot. But again, 2 more feats to lose out on wings and to lose out on a +2 to one of my 2 stats, and I get more skills. Yeah, humans are cool, man. They're cool for a reason. That's why almost everyone plays them. A good dwarf build could have fun with this, but again, their charisma would suffer. We didn't even care about charisma on this build. We have it now, but it's only because of gear. And again, you could have gone for that selective channeling. And again, the ability to heal yourself and your team in combat while not healing the bad guys is very beneficial. Just to show you... Just to show you the weapon upgrade. So again, just to show you what we have first. We have our Perfection Sword, +5 longsword, so there's no reason to buff it beyond that already. So +5 is the size it's going to go. So what do we activate? Remember, we have 5 points to burn before we activate the Sacred Weapon. So let's do Fire, Frost, Shock, that's +1, +1, +1. There's no reason to do Keen, because we already have a Keen weapon, because we have improved criticals. Disruption is useless for us, and again, it's a bludgeoning weapon, not a slashing or piercing weapon. We can do Holy, assuming that one of these guys, if not more, are evil. I could do Anarchic, again, assuming that they're lawful and not chaotic or true neutral. So I could do that. Where's my other one? There's it right here. Brilliant Energy. Let's activate Brilliant Energy. Let's take away the... what I did it for us. Leave it on Shock. Sure, we got Shocking and we got Brilliant Energy buff. Now watch this. And leave those 2 toggles on. Activate that toggle. Okay? So here's our tog. And again, notice how it is continually spinning. It's not just a clickable. That's how we know. So let's charge that fool. Oh, that's a dead guy. Come and get it, ugly. Now I want you first to see this first hit. 46. Why? Where's our power attack -4? Furious Focus +4. That's why it's not 42. Okay. All the buffs besides the inherent from the Perfection kicked in. Size, penalty, divine power is good. Bless is working on us like it should. And I could have done prayer, but notice how that's a luck bonus. So again, it doesn't stack with divine power. I could have done divine favor, but again, it's a luck bonus. It doesn't stack with divine power. So again, bonuses and penalties. Again, you have a variety of options. If I want to cast a spell, I can certainly do so. And again, we have some pretty good conjuration spells for damaging and paralysis and things of that nature. Of course, we have our kick-ass summons. We have the ability to animate dead and lesser animate dead. This is tied to the level of the character you kill too, by the way. I tested this earlier today. So animate dead, if you want a really, really beefy fucking skeleton son of a bitch, this will work on the higher level bad guys that you kill. And then use animate dead on their corpse. And then suddenly you have a, like for example, I used it on an Athak, a giant cyclopean bastard that was swinging at me. Killed him, animated his corpse using this spell, and he was a fucking HD 14 skeleton for me. Solid strength, solid swing, decently tough, and again, I could heal him with inflict spells. So again, if I played a Necro Lord, I could have some serious fun. If you wanted to straight up damage these guys, look how we got 5 goddamn attacks. Where's the extra attack coming from? Remember, we have 4 from our sword, 3 normally. Another one thanks to power attack being on. It's the equivalent of haste on us. Remember, an extra attack around. That 5th one is from the maul, the bite spell that we cast, the Savage Maw. That gives us an extra attack. And again, I can dispel that early by scaring everybody if I so choose. I'm just not choosing to. So it's just boom. Bam. Take damage, you son of a bitch. Now, why was that so impressive? It wasn't really because these are fodder, but look at the attack. It's not just that it's a 44. It's not just that it's a 40. It's not what I'm bragging about. I mean, they're solid. I mean, you should be happy with that. But the point was the armor was screwed. Remember, we're using a brilliant energy buff. So they're not getting any armor bonus, no shield bonus. They're dex-based characters, so they have some mid-axe, and it's harder to hit them because they're teeny tiny, so there's some extra armor there. But by and large, on the tougher difficulties, they're going to have armor. They're going to have shields. They're going to have all that stuff that's a problem for you. So if they're not undead constructs or objects, that brilliant energy buff to your weapon, short term, is an amazing fuck you to the bad guy. And then, of course, we're doing solid damage. I mean, 3d8 plus 44 extra electric damage on top of that, or fire, or cold, of course. Over here, we have 3d8 plus 44. Remember, this is not a crit. This is just a solid hit. Remember, we have a good crit range. We have a pretty good chance of critting, no less. Remember, we have improved critical, so it crits on a 17, 18, 19, 20. And then we also picked up, not just crit mastery, what's the other thing that I'm thinking of? Critical focus, I think is what it's called. Yeah, critical focus, where it's a +4 to confirming our crits. So if we're not guaranteed to confirm a crit, which I don't think this build has that ability, at the very least, when it re-rolls to see if it confirms the crit, we're going to be at a +4 to that number. More likely than it will land again, and therefore we will more likely than not get that crit. So now, as impressive as those numbers look, now think about what that number would look like if you doubled it. Or obviously it's not double, they roll it twice. Not the point. This could be a solid 100 and some damage per swing. Just crit. And of course we're doing our staggering critical, we're doing our blinding critical, so when we crit we're actually hitting for all kinds of other penalties as well. Doing really good is my point here. This is a solid character. I think you guys will enjoy playing a War Priest. And again, just because I went strength on this generic build doesn't mean you couldn't go a dex-based build. A dex-based build would feel a lot different. You'd probably want to keep to the lighter armor, obviously. Honestly, I would make the dex-based build for the Sacred Fist or the Sacred Priest or whatever the hell they call it, the one that feels like a monk, because you're probably going to be wearing robes. So why not go dex-based and just maul the shit out of them with your increased punching damage, because you will get increased punching damage as you level that character up. And you still get all the kick-ass spells. And, by the way, if you want to feel like a badass, notice the buffs that we have here for wisdom. Yeah, because of the hat that I put on, we're getting extra spells a day. But I didn't want to show you that. What I wanted to show you was if you're going to play a monk type, anything that buffs your swing, obviously we have a variety of ways of doing that. Bless, Divine Favor, Divine Power. But anything that buffs your unarmed strikes, like your Bone Fist here, where you do extra damage with your natural weapons, that's an unarmed strike. So you can do +2 to your damage by casting this on you, and it lasts for a good long while. Even gives you some natural armor. Now again, that probably won't stack with everything, so it's probably natural armor enhancement, +1. But even if it is, so what? Until you get natural armor enhancement, here's it is for free. And again, pretty damn cool. But you throw that in there with your Savage Maw as well, so again you get a strike, another strike with your fist, and then you get the ability to bite the motherfucker. Pretty goddamn cool. So again, you will feel tough as a monk if you play the monk version of the War Priest. And it's awesome in the fact that you don't have to dip out of War Priest to play that one. Deadly Juggernaut, the spell that we didn't cast on ourselves, is another one that will just make you feel like a monster, because every time you kill a target, Each time you reduce a qualifying opponent to 0 or fewer hit points, will kill somebody, you get this bonus, stacking up to 5 times, so you can get a +5 to your melee attack rolls, to your melee damage, to your strength check, and your strength-based skill checks or athletics for a long period of time. And then, wait for it, you get DR2/dash all the way up to DR10/dash, which again reduces incoming physical damage, period, by 10. That's not bad. That's better than Stone Skin. Because Stone Skin is DR10/adamantine, so adamantine weapons can penetrate that shit. This, technically speaking, nothing should. That's not true, but it's unlikely. Let's just say it that way. So it's a really, really good protection buff for you. And again, lasts a long time, and it's a self-buff. This is a solid necromancy spell. Deadly Juggernaut's really, really fun. And again, there's a variety of other stuff that will make you feel badass. And if you're going to monk it up, I would not hesitate to use things like Shield of Dawn or Fiery, or the ones that literally, if they punch you, they take damage. Because they probably will sneak an attack through more often than not. You're not wearing armor. But that's only a exception to the rule for why I would use something like that. Otherwise, I would shy away from that shit. You have plenty of good damaging spells, paralysis spells. Remember, we have our enchantments. We have our conjurations. We have conjurations again over here under Chains of Light. Remember, we are a conjurer build right now, so this would have been a solid spell to pick in the next spell slot. Again, if you're not going conjurer, to me, necromancy is the next obvious choice. And if I were going to play Necro Lord, I'd probably make him an undead character. So I know this video's gone on a long time, guys, but that's basically just what I wanted to show you. That there's a lot of cool ways to play a War Priest, and those free combat feats down here, the free weapon focus at level 1, just really adds a lot of kick-ass to this character. Again, apologies for saying that you get a BAB of 20 by the end of the build. That's not true. It's 15, so it's just like a Magus, but the fact that we can buff our way in so many ways better than a Magus could makes me happy, and I think you guys will appreciate this build. But with that, my name is Brother Mutant. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, tell me what you guys think. Again, this is not a perfect build, so I'm not going to write it down below, because you guys will change it to your own liking. But know that wisdom is your main stat, strength and or dex is your next main stat, and that's how you'd want to build the character. Just decide from that point on how you're going to make them. Notice that the next videos coming will be the Magus spell list, so we'll start from 0 to 2, and then we'll do a 3 to 4 video, and then levels 5 and 6 spells at the end. But with that, my name is Brother Mutant. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, like I said before, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.